Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. Today, I had this random thought of sharing my second session with Tabaash, channel by Blair, on YouTube. This is really a random thought, and I take it as divine guidance, a message telling me to share it. I'll tell you how this happened. I was about to go to bed. I got my laptop. I replied to a client email, and I just randomly clicked on a folder, and I saw this video I had with Tabaash, a recording. I somehow opened it. There's like lots of files in that folder, and I started watching it again, and I had this feeling of this should be out, this should be out. I said yes, yeah, feel free, like I mean, like, I feel free to share it because I don't sense any personal stuff, too personal stuff there that stopped me sharing this with you guys. And I wanted to provide a little bit of the background on that session. I first met Tabaash in August 2021. Then this session I shared occurred in March 2022. So there was 6-7 months gap to the first session. And Tabaash mentioned in the second session, which I shared today, I was a different person, different version of myself than when he first met me like half a year ago. And the version you see myself now, I do feel it's important to point out. This version of me is 3 months after the second session. I pretty much feel I am a different person again. That's what you're going to see, the 3 months ago version. This is something that happens when you are on the path of evolving, path of ascension, or maybe you would say a path of awakening, how your light gets stronger and stronger, and you just look different, you feel different, and it's like every day you are different. Maybe tomorrow morning when I wake up, I feel like totally different than this version here today. Yeah, tell it for yourself. See if you can tell the difference of this version and the version 3 months ago. And as I continue to show myself more on this channel, maybe you will see a much different version 6 months later, maybe a year later, as we constantly evolving and facing the death of the old and the rebirth of the new. Yeah, so that's about the background of it, and I hope that this video will be of resonance with many more that's on a similar path. I'm sure you will. That's why I'm guided to share it. I had no intention of sharing it when I first had the session, even a long time after it's done. And now it's coming back to me, and I checked with my divine heart, and it's a yes answer, so I'm doing it. And like, whatever. I'm not afraid if you see me 3 months ago. Yeah, and I do wanted to say a little bit about myself and my work since you are here. Since I get your attention, I do quantum healing hypnosis. The version I do is IQH, Illuminated Quantum Healing. This can be done online through Zoom. You can find me through my website below in the description, or you can go to sacredtemple.one. Yeah, this is the hypnosis that I'm practicing now. Indeed, I am in the process of getting more of the different abilities developed maybe other modalities of healing for hypnosis, mentorship, channeling. Yeah, so stay tuned. And yeah, whenever you click on this video, maybe go to my website, see if there's anything else that I offer as a healer, as a writer, yoga teacher, and much more to come. Most importantly, as a God being like you are, like you guys are God being like I am, and welcome you here and happy to see you here. Just shine your light. And I love you. All the best. Enjoy. Bye.
All right, we'll see you later. Okay, ciao,
See you
ciao.
later. Thank you.
Hello, 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 hello.
Hello. Hi, Tabaash.
Nice to see you. Let's have some water here.
Yes, nice to chat with you again. It's
Thank you.
awesome. Thank
I was
you.
just thinking about when you said to Blair about going outside to soak up the energy, and there is an enormous amount of very productive energy available all the time at the moment. So it's not just with the spring equinox, it's to do with just the way everything is settling into a whole new pattern of energy, a new vibration. And
Mm-hmm.
you've got to remember, mind, body, spirit, life is always about renewal. And every day it's always brand new. And when you become more aligned as you are, this is where you become even more receptive to what life is there for you. And you decide what you do with that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And some people, they gather and they wait for something to happen, or you gather and then you decide what you choose is going to work for you. And that's a good reminder as a phrase which goes, life is not a series of events happening to you. Life is a series of events happening because of you. So because of your thinking, your feelings, your ways of participating, you're making your world, you're making your life, and you wear it around you all the time in the energy field. And I'm not talking about your aura here, I'm just talking about the field of consciousness that you actually possess. And since our last conversation, I feel you've turned up the volume on that considerably. And does that feel like that for you?
Yes.
Yes. How does that reflect itself in your life, please?
My expansion of my consciousness.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel more connected ever since you guided me to yoga. So yoga helped me
Good.
connect body, mind, spirit.
Excellent. Yep.
Yeah, so that's awesome. I just felt more guided,
Good.
more energy.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you say that, when you get aligned into certain practices, what they are doing is that they're activating within you, mind, body, spirit, all the codes of life. And when you choose to come into a human body once again, you come with these codes. So no one comes with nothing. No one comes with a little bit of this or a little bit of that. You all come with everything. Obviously, the story of your life, the story of the deal of your life determines how much of those codes that you're going to activate. Because you've decided in this incarnation to be God consciously, that means all the codes are activated. And so,
Has it already
oh,
activated?
yeah, totally, absolutely. So what happens now is that when all the codes are activated, then you start recognizing human experiences that help you to put those codes into practice.
Mm.
And remember, that it's to be dealt with through your day-to-day living, through your living. And you know, it's quite easy, really, because I mean, think about it. You're already God. You already have all the power. You already have all the answers. You already have all the codes. So all of that is intact. And so you're born, you unfold, you get to a place like you have in your life. It's like you've suddenly pushed the green button that says go. And then all I just see is suddenly all these windows and doors opening. And it's all quite quiet and silent. And there you are standing and looking around. And you realize, oh, is this how it works? I just had to open up the doors. I just helped open up the windows. And you realize, well, everything's just there. And then what's the best way on this planet to practice everything is in your everyday life. Obviously, there are times where spiritually, it's important to do a little bit of added extra. So suddenly you feel drawn to an experience and a motivation and an experience, and it advances you and it expands you. But then sometimes it comes from your human nature. Sometimes you suddenly intellectually or physically, like yoga, do something that makes you realize, well, as I've said to you in the past, oh, I'm just God doing it this way. Now, why I'm saying this to you is because sometimes I feel that you're still looking spiritually for the next thing, you see. And because of that, you're putting pressure on yourself where you do not need to, because you're already God and you're going to find God in life. You know, you walk through the park, you sit quietly with some friends or have a coffee, you go to a movie, you know, you chill out at home, you do some study, you do another yoga class. You know, there's just so much that opportunity available. And you know, the way I'm going to put it is how you wear yourself. So if you wear yourself all through the day in the ultimate way as God, then you just walk outside your front door and you've changed the world because of the way you're wearing yourself. And, you know, think about it, most humans wear themselves in a variety of different ways through the day. And it's like all these different t-shirts, you know, you take one t-shirt and you put another one on, you take another one, you know, or some people's cases, they don't even take the t-shirt off. They just put one on top of the other, on top of the other, walking around like this after a while, you know, wondering why we have all these layers of life on them. Okay, that's a metaphor for energy and life. But when you realize, hey, I'm a God in a body, and if I just wear myself that way all the time, well, then I will know what to do as a woman. I will know what to do as a friend or as a person or as a spiritual being or as a yoga practitioner or whatever, you know, without actually having to go and buy a whole lot of different t-shirts. Instead, it's, okay, I'm going to practice every day wearing myself as God more. And again, remember, it doesn't mean, you know, where do I read this? What meditation do I need to do? That sort of stuff. It's what I've said to you in the past about awareness. And I love your eagerness. I love your excitement about being more and doing more. And the intention that you have is really actually working for you. It really is. And I look at you today and I'm thinking, since our first conversation ever, one of the things I noted the most is how calm you are. You know, you've got this peace about you and this serenity about you. So you're much more centered than ever before. And not just more centered, but your idea about yourself, your perceptivity about yourself, your understanding even of your own body is even greater. And so what you've done is that you've trained yourself up to have a much better relationship with yourself, mind and body and spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the moment you do that. Sorry, I get emotional saying that. And so when that happens, it's usually like, yes, she's done it, you know, like this. So your core energies are stronger. And the other thing that I feel, not that you had it in a lot of ways, but you're not carrying fear around you. You're not carrying that vibration around you. You're just carrying life. And you're able to be a much better observer of yourself, of your thinking, of how you choose to respond to things. And I think you've realized that you have choice. It is up to you. But then there's that part of you that sort of tries, oh, well, I don't want to miss anything, and let's try this, and let's and all that sort of stuff. And look, that's wondrous. Be excited about life. Be excited about the things that you want to involve yourself in. But then remind yourself, hey, remember, I don't need to try hard. I know who I am. I know where I stand. I know how this works. And everything you do is, as I said, activating your memory of, we'll call it, how you were right at the beginning of your existence, before you ever knew what it was like to be human, before you ever had thinking or emotions, where you were just a light being, a light body. And that is always there. It's always there. So when you get aligned in the way that you are and doing more of, then the memory of that is presenting itself to you in a more conscious way. So you become more light within yourself. And then the light in you, and this has been interesting watching you do this, it's just been directing your human nature in subtle, quiet ways. And you notice little changes. You notice little energies where you're more peaceful. You just have a sense of something's changed, something's different. And that's because as the light penetrates through your physiology, then it can't help but just lighten you up, change you. And then with that, and this is where it gets interesting, as you get more in light of things, of course, you begin to illuminate more. And as you illuminate more, you begin to see more. And suddenly it's like, oh, why did I see that before? And it's because suddenly your light has got within where you're evolved to be able to recognize that it was there. Like, this goblet of water, it's there. And if you're not in light of yourself, you just don't see it. And then one day you turn and go, oh, how did I get there? And that's what humans do. Oh, how did that knowledge suddenly arrive? How did that conclusion come there? How did that person say it? And it's always been there, but you see yourself in a different light, and you see more of yourself. So of course it makes sense that you will suddenly recognize what's around you. And this cannot be accelerated. This cannot be rushed. If it should be like, example, imagine if it would be like taking an iPhone, and showing it to an 18th century woman and saying, here, I'll take your picture. And she's going to say, for a start, what's a picture? Because that is, you see. And then, you'll take a picture and you'll show her, and she'll get frightened. She won't know how it works, you see. And I mean, even, when electricity first came into the world, humans were very frightened of it. People were frightened of it. They had people in the homes who were afraid to turn the light on because they didn't know what was going to happen. Or even when telephones came on, people were terrified, absolutely terrified, to feel the fact that they could ring up their mother on the other side of, North America or London or whatever like that, you see. It's just beyond people's comprehension. And that's why even spiritually, you got to realize that if you go to a place that you haven't evolved to in the way you think and the way you just got you're not going to see it for a start. You're not going to know. Did you ever see a film called What the Bleep Do You Know?
No.
Oh, okay. Check this out. Google it, the film, What the Bleep Do You Know? And I like you to watch,
Okay.
enjoy this. Anyway, there's a scene in there. I won't explain anything to you because you'll find out for yourself. But there was a scene where the early people of America, before the colonization happened, they were sort of standing there on the shore, and the medicine man, the elder of the village, looked and said, "Look, can you see?" And what he saw was the ships, Columbus's ships, in the distance, you see. Now, the reason that he was able to see them was because, as the medicine man, he had an understanding of the bigger perspective, the bigger picture, you see. So the villagers were looking at him and going, "What are you talking about?" Because they're looking like this. "We can't see anything. What do you mean?" Now, the reason they could not see the ships is because they had no concept of anything like that. Because their life was just their village, what they knew. And then suddenly someone says, "Oh, can you see that ship over there?" It'd be like, "What's a ship?" And also, but because they had no imprint of any of such a thing existed, they just could not see it. So in a sense, it's not seeing as believing, it's more believing is what you choose in regards to how you see. So you see, your belief in you as God is going to allow you to see more. But if your human nature is trying to see, well, you won't. Because it comes from your higher nature, not your human nature. So as you get more and more involved in your spirituality, which of course is happening and it's going to happen more, then you're training all of your systems to actually function differently. So after a while, you find that it's your higher nature that's actually making the decisions more. It's your higher nature that's feeling. It's your higher nature that's experiencing life. And it's your higher nature that's directing your human nature with the new thoughts, the new feelings, the new ways. That's why, as I have stressed in the past, when you make changes, when you step forward, you must, from your higher perspective, remind your human nature, "Oh, this is what we're doing now. And this is a new story, this is a new narrative." But also too, it's good for you as God to say to your human body, "Hey, human nature, well done. You've made so many changes. I'm very proud of you. And with this yoga, fantastic, it's changed your life." So and the body likes to hear that. It'll go, "Oh, fantastic." So you get more results. Blair does this because he does his bodybuilding stuff, you see. And sometimes he'll say to his body, "Oh man, you're looking quite hot, really, aren't you?" You know? And then he laughs. He says, "Suddenly it's like I can just see the muscles exploding," you know, like this, you know, because the body loves praise and the body loves recognition of the efforts. So you can't just make assumptions about things. And so you're in an interesting dichotomy of energy because you're becoming more and more higher in your vibration. So that means that in human terms, you do need to pay quite a lot of attention to the little gentle shifts, the changes that you're wanting to make, the ways that your life is changing, how you're feeling differently, seeing things differently, who you actually want in your life. You know, because that shifts as well, because you discover it's like you do this bit of sifting out. Yes. And because it's the process of evolution, advancement, but there's also the process of outgrowing what was. You know, and it's getting back to the using the metaphor of iPhones. You know, there's just this different one created every year or two or whatever like that. And so Blair's got something like a 15 plus or something like this, you see. But I'm sure there's others that have been created since then, you see. But then he's got mates of him who are still on like 6 plus or something, you know, and they're quite happy with it as such. But, you know, some people are just happy to hold on to what they're familiar with because they have a security in that, or they're just lazy. And if you imagine that 6 plus iPhone is like your life or your principles or your values or your beliefs, and yet you've changed and things have moved on, and yet you're still holding on, you know, to belief systems and truths that have no real relevance to you anymore. And you're going to find that as you evolve more and turn more and more and more lights on, then you're going to be a lot more honest with yourself. You're going to be a lot more specific about who you are and where you stand. And that's going to bug people because that's already happening, actually. And so, but you don't have to go and explain yourself, because all you're doing is growing and evolving. I mean, you could tell them, you know, and you, hey, look, I'm just God, I'm growing. What do you expect? Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So for yourself, I don't know, I just keep hearing voices around you. I'm not talking about spirit, more like family and stuff like that. People who have ideas about this is what we want for you, and this is what you should be doing, and stuff like that. It's not intrusive, but it's just sort of like there in the background going, as if people are saying, well, what are you doing? And what are you believing in? And I'm not saying that this is people ringing you up and telling you this thing, but I think you're aware of that. Your awareness is because you're changing so much. You're suddenly conscious of where you don't fit anymore. And what does that feel like for you?
Not fitting in among the groups,
Yeah.
family, friends. I feel lonely sometimes, but that's, I guess you can say, I forgot I'm God. People say it's a blessing to wake up first. So I'm now aware of my missions, like what I'm here to do. So I'm less bothered by their opinion, their way of thinking what I should do. So I'm going to do whatever is guided for me to do, regardless.
Good. And
Yes.
do it in the most extraordinary way. Do it in the most amazing way. Do it in the most professional way. Do it in the biggest way that you know that you can. You know, fling open that door, then there it is. There's the power. And as God, that's what you're all about. The power to create, the power to heal, the power to make a difference, the power to turn lights on for other people. And it's not that you forget about your human nature, but you realize that this is what it's like to just be source power. I'm here, source power. And yes, I'll look after the woman in me, and I'll make sure she looks beautiful and she's healthy and all this stuff. You know, I'll make sure she has friends and da 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 da. But then you get to a point after a while, well, like Blair has, when, as he puts it, he sort of feels like he's outgrown people. And even though he has good friends that he hangs out with and stuff like that, you know, majority of time he just is on his own, and he just lives his life in the way that he chooses to. You know, go to the gym, work, you know, write, do other things like that, and be really content with that. But more than ever, and I'm just thinking about the energy, your relationship with Source, with God, starts to accelerate. And so when you get to a certain point, this is what happens. This is what you're involved in too. So your relationship with the God energy is actually developing more. And you know, lots of human people on this planet, well, the majority will say, live their lives in their human nature, and which is absolutely fine because that's their story. And there's a lot of people who are now living their energy in their spirituality as well. But then there are others like you, like him, and others around the world who suddenly realize that they want to deepen their relationship with Source, and they want to do as much as they can and be as much as they can. So therefore, you begin to look at your relationship with God and how you benefit from it and how you relate to it and how you develop it. And you know, when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about, you know, big more meditations and big prayers and chanting to Buddha and stuff like that. You know, I'm talking about you walking through what I said to before. You walking through your day, wearing yourself in that ultimate vibration.
Okay.
And I mean, if you want to, you can use the analogy of it like a top or a dress or something like that. I'm just, you know, when you get dressed in the morning, oh, I'm just putting my God nature on. Does it fit? Well, put a bit of weight there, you know. And so it's, you know, I mean, think about that. Next time you do a yoga class and you put on your yoga clothes, imagine that you're putting on God's energy, you know, and then finish that and you shower and change and put on your day clothes or your work clothes. Same thing, you know. I'm just putting God on, and then, you know, the more you affirm this, then the more you'll feel that. And so creating a relationship with Source it's a day-to-day thing, but once you get the awareness, you almost feel like it's just penetrating through every cell of your body. You feel the alignment that you have with it. You feel the vibratory energy of it. And you've already experienced this sometimes, because I know you sometimes feel your hands just buzzing. And so when you feel the buzz, then, you know, you're connected to Source more, and you're literally channeling through that energy through you. And so that's why, you know, you're doing the yoga that you're doing, is creating that alignment, so that therefore you're able to channel through you the power of life. That's the origins of yoga anyway. That's why it was created, to be able to channel through the power of life and to promote the well-being through the physical, the mental, and emotional. And so as you become more efficient in that sense, then it washes away all the deficiencies, and then you end up just being clear. And so with that clarity, it's rather like, and I'm going to say it this way, when I first met you, there were still human nature things that you needed to deal with. And I believe you've dealt with those. And so you put things to rest. You've seen yourself in a different light. So because of that, that really isn't you anymore. So therefore, as I have said to you previously, you know, you look back on all of that and you realize, well, that's just something that happened to someone I used to be. And I'm not that woman anymore. I don't feel that way, think that way, relate to life in the same way. And also because I'm much clearer in who I am and what I'm here to do, then I realized the importance of always being very present. Who am I today? What are my thoughts today? What is my prospects today? So you centered yourself, I've noticed, very much on the present, which is good. And by doing so, you've realized, well, that is where all the power is, consciously. And which is how you want to run your life, consciously within the power. I mean, beyond you is also power, but you're not conscious of it. And when you're not conscious of it, then it's going to be no use to you. So how do you become conscious of that? Well, you be conscious of the now, and how you use the power now. And then when you do that, then that automatically transports you into another state of consciousness. And then suddenly the power that you were unconscious of, suddenly you're conscious of. I mean, even as I've talked to you in that short time, about 5 seconds, you've moved into several different states of consciousness. Simply because that's how everything works, you know? And but for that to happen, you need to be present. And so when you wear yourself consistently as the God energy, then that's the way to stay consistent. And that's the way to live. So it's really what I just told you. It's the way to live. So being God is the way to live. And when you wear yourself in that way, as I said, that automatically activates the power of the present. And then everything else sort of looks after itself once you really get involved in that. Because, you know, God never questions things or has to ask too many questions about anything. It would never, see, I mean, this is an interesting thing. God doesn't have thought, God doesn't have emotions. You know, that's human stuff. So humans try to humanize God. And so in humanizing God, they try to put the same characteristics onto God's energy. And then they get frustrated because they don't get what they want or they don't understand. And I said, what do you expect? You're humanizing something that's not human. You're trying to see it in the same light you would see yourself as human, or feel it the same way. But when you look at the God vibration, you know, as I said, God's never had a thought in its life. You know, God has no emotions at all. You know, and then you might say, well, what about the word love? And I said, even the God love is not an emotion. It's not a physical human emotion, because the God love is actually different. It's a formula. It's an equation. So when people talk about their alignment to, you know, the God, the love of God, and the love of God is the answer, and all that sort of stuff, they're actually, if they understand, talking about 4 strands of energy, which when brought together and come through your system, basically aligns you to God. And so when you say, I am God in love, or God loves me, then you connected to those energies. And therefore, it activated the God code within you and around you. And then whoosh, you just have that energy, just bang, massive activation. But humans, they look at it like human emotional love, you know, like, you know, oh, what kitten, and you know, that sort of stuff. So they try to feel it in that sense. But the feeling of God love is trillions of times greater than emotional human love. And so for yourself, I'd like you to start creating a non-human relationship with the God energy. I want you to stop humanizing God and feel it and know it and experience it for what it is in its power. And you don't have to do this, because remember, you're not using this. This is allowing. This is allowing. Okay, I'm going to allow. What's a big cup?
Yes.
It looks awful.
Yeah. It's
Very appetizing green stuff.
spirulina,
I
barley
know.
grass juice powder. Yes.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, for Blair, anything like that actually automatically makes him want to throw up. So whatever is in it, it just, you know, he'll take it sometimes, and it just, his stomach doesn't like that sort of stuff. So within seconds, nothing comes again. So not give that up for no trouble than what it's worth. So do you understand what I'm saying in regards to not humanizing God?
Yeah, so feel align and feel his love and presence, but not humanized God. Because I used to do in meditation, like I see him in a human form, but to not visualizing him that way. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think you need to stop it, but what you'll find is that, well, I've evolved, so now I want to experience it in a more abstract way, and where I understand it just as energy, or as consciousness. And look, there's nothing wrong in understanding God in human form. I mean, churches have done that for centuries. And so you have all these statues of Jesus and Mary and Buddha and da 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 da, trying to find a way of finding a tangible perspective of God. And so, but when you start to see it more as the essence or as consciousness, then this is how you can relate to it as a soul more. And so, I mean, think about it, because if you do that, that's easy to fit that in with yourself. See it as a person, or as a male or a female, then you try to put that into your energies, it doesn't quite gel.
Right. Yes.
And also too, when you see God, do you see God as a male or a female?
Usually male.
Yeah. Okay.
Male.
So straight away, you're putting a label, and that's limiting. And so I mean, these are the sort of fine-tuning things, you know.
Right.
I mean, all this is I'm talking about, it's just wading through the human story, the human conditioning, the old beliefs, the old truths. As you're evolving and advancing, it's so important to be able to advance your truths and change your belief systems, because it's all to do with the vibration of those beliefs, those visions, etc. So because everything is a frequency, you know, if you hold on to the idea of God as a human male, then that's a denser frequency than what you would see it in as an abstract energy. So that has its limitations, because you automatically will put rules and systems around God as something outside of yourself, because that's how it would work. You know, well, God's a man, he's outside of myself, I can't have that inside of me. You know, it'd be like channeling something or whatever. But when I see it in more of an abstract form, like a ball of light, well, that's easy to bring through me,
Right.
and therefore bring that vibration through. So a really good meditation is actually really simple. This is, you can do it upright, lying down, whatever. You can walk through the forest in a lucid meditation. You just keep thinking consistently 2 words, and the first one is God, and then love. Just God, love, God, love. And you just keep doing it, and so you'll find you will invariably just bring this energy through you, and you might have a feeling of nirvana, you know, and so you might get this build-up of power and energy, you know, in your base chakra, and suddenly it will explode with energy, and you feel this bliss, this connectedness, and so and that is basically you as a soul opening up all the doors and then letting it in. And yeah,
Is that Kundalini rising up?
yeah, that's the Kundalini power that rises up. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, but also, and I've seen this in your aura, and what I said before about your hands, I notice even your feet tingle. And so again, you see, you're activating all the energy centers of your physiology, because your body doesn't just have the 7 major chakras, it has chakras all through the body. So you have them in the palms of your hands, you have them in the tips of your fingers. You in all the major joint areas in your feet, and you know, all the points of consciousness are like little vortexes, you know, which you're activating, and in their activation, then they start to collaborate. And so this is where you find a greater energy flowing through you. And then when you feel within your physical that there might be some issues or what you people call blocks, well, then that's like an unactivated energy center. And there, excuse me, you're storing something up, you know, some fear or some old idea or some old energy and all that sort of stuff. When that happens, you don't have to seek for the next therapist. You know, instead, it's like, oh, okay. So you could say, okay, in my God awareness, you know, what does that pain in my right side represent? You know, or that discomfort I'm having. And you get some feeling about something, and some idea about something. And then once you say, I acknowledge this, then just have formal closure on it. And all you'd have to do is you'd do it out loud or in your thoughts, I choose to have formal closure on, and then just say it or think it. And in fact, there's a good exercise for you. Make a list, and it won't be a long list, but make a list of the things that you feel you have to have formal closure on. And then once you've made that list, just do it. You could sit in front of yourself in a mirror and go, I choose to have formal closure on, and then just talk out loud.
Okay.
And so that's a really good thing to do. And then having done that, you might find after over a couple of weeks, little things that you forgot all about, like years ago, will suddenly come up. And you realize, oh, I never had formal closure on that. And it could have been like a little self-doubt or something someone said to you, or some little thing that frightened you or whatever, and you buried that deep, deep, deep. And so suddenly all these things just come to the surface. That's what turning lights on does. It brings things to the surface. Because you're not a storage unit, remember. So it's very much about, okay, right, that's got to go, and that's got to go, and that's got to go. And after a while, there's nothing more to go. Right, I'm clear. Let's keep it that way. And then that's where we direct you and help you, or you read something, or you do something that acts as another trigger. But after a while, you don't need any more triggers. You know, eventually it's like no more catharsis, no more working anything out, no more whatever. You know, you understand. It's like, oh, I know who I am, and I know what to do, and I'll just keep on advancing this. And if there's more things to know and more things to do, well, then I will get to that place when I need to, without trying to go, okay, where do I go from now? You know, it's more a matter of, okay, I'm here. Let's make the most of this. And then that's investing in the next experience. But I find it quite fascinating. Humans go and qualify in something or learn, and then they straight away reach for the next thing without doing anything with it. You know how that is. so so people might say, well, you know, have you practiced this? Or you go, well, no. And so then what you do is, you know, but you have no awareness about it. Because remember, awareness is activated knowledge. So when you activate what you know, you live it. And then you turn it into awareness. So literally you go, I know exactly what that feels like. Because I took that belief and I put it into my life. I took my knowledge and I lived it. And so you have a very strong capability of doing that. And as you keep on progressing as a healer, as a teacher, as someone who's turning lights on, then as you keep on evolving your energies, it's going to inspire people, it's going to give you more confidence, it's going to draw more and more of source consciously through you. And suddenly it's like, this is simple, this is easy, this is being God. And you know, how God creates everything is an interesting process. Because remember, the God force is just this energy. And the energy is always being created. And so how it works is, I'll just use this. So imagine it like this buildup of power moving around and round, and then suddenly it just expands. It has to. And then as it comes out of God's vibration, it turns into a planet or into a galaxy or into another universe or whatever. So builds, out it comes, you see. It's like within you, you know, as a human being, you know, oh, I got these feelings, I've got to say something, blah, out it comes. You know, like a word or an idea. And, you know, it reminds me of slightly is in the 1960s and 70s, they had these funny lamps called lava lamps. I don't know if you've seen these. And they were shaped like a cylinder, okay? But in the middle of it, you turn the lamp on, and it had this big giant wad of wax. And so therefore, so as the heat warmed up the wax would start moving around and going up and down and all sorts of funny shapes and things like this, you see. And they called them lava lamps, you see. And then, you know, when you turned it off, then it would all just settle at the bottom. And it was like something like usually glowy orange or green or something like that, you see. So I could just sort of imagine, you know, as God's emptying itself up, the energy comes out like this big wad of energy, like looking like a big giant amoeba, sort of like this, and then you know, something. Anyway, so there's something for you to look up, lava lamps.
I will.
Okay, I've talked non-stop, so ask me questions.
Okay, thank you so much for your sharing knowledge. I'll practice this stuff and being God more. put my God clothes on every day, meditate on it.
Excellent.
And
Good.
okay. So my question is about hypnosis that I'm doing. Do you have any advice or you see anything about it?
What's your question? What do you want to ask?
I wanted to see where is this going, like this career? Where is this going?
Yeah. As I said to before, because of who you are and what you're all about, you could take what you are and really make this work for you. And not just in the hypnosis, but I feel it's activating you in lots of different directions as well. Because you can't help but as you train up things and work with people, you're developing yourself. It's like you're always in training for more possibilities, more ideas, etc. And so, but like what we were saying before, like anything that people learn and do, you got to look at this and think, okay, for this to happen, what do I need to do? What steps? How do I organize myself? What do I need to gain in more? And so it's literally about how you manage it, how you organize it, and until you invariably start getting bigger ideas. And I think about with Dolores Cannon, for instance, and the way that she developed her skills and abilities, and invariably she turned so much of her work into the books that were written. Transcribing people's things. I'm not saying that's necessarily what you have to do, but for yourself, it is, you're developing yourself. I'm just thinking about you as a yoga teacher. You could become a yoga teacher. You see, so you've got those skills, but you see, you're developing confidence and clarity in lots of ways. And I think even with the hypnosis aspect, it's training the psychic part of you to actually open up more and be a lot more receptive and perceptive, to things you're feeling and hearing and experiencing. And even to the degree, if you're taking people through a session, you might even psychically see exactly what they're doing and start to even put a question before they even speak anything, or what way to direct, the vibration and the energy. And also, and also too, get a sense of, the guidance that you're working with and the guides of the people that you're working on. And so you might be da-da-da-da-da, and suddenly one of the guides just says, tell her this. And it's not like a voice, but suddenly you have this feeling about, oh, I just had a feeling I had to say da-da-da-da-da. And that could act as a natural trigger. So there's lots of things you could do with it. I mean, for you, this isn't just QHTT stuff and regression therapies and all this. This is something bigger. For yourself, you could expand upon this in all sorts of rather extraordinary ways.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, as I said, as the psychic gets trained up, all that sort of stuff, then your own higher nature will be able to give advice and mentorship and counsel and guidance. And so I think you could take this. I mean, the hypnosis is just really like the beginning. And
really?
Yeah, no, totally, yeah. And I mean, it's up to you, obviously, but you could just keep that, or I mean, look, when you start working with all this sort of stuff, you got to remember, what are you doing? You're activating life in you. And when life gets activated, it's going to start training you up in every way whatsoever. And so, but you still have choice. Do I want to go down that road, or do I want to add that as a qualification, or do I wish to pursue that in a different way? So it's not that anyone ever has to do anything for yourself. It's okay. I'll put it this way. You have a choice. You could be this small piece of paper, or you could be this big piece of paper. Up to you. If you're this, that's okay. And you will succeed and be happy with that in the way. But then when I look at you in how you're always reaching for more, then you're going to keep reaching for the big pieces of paper. And that's what you do. But you have to allow it. So it's not just suddenly it's like, oh, well, I've done the small bit. Now let's really reach for that. Things you present themselves to you, where you suddenly realize, oh, I've got the skill, or I've got this ability, or I'm more in tune with other people's guides and things of this nature. And so it's interesting watching over the next few years, because as your psychic abilities develop, then you begin to become more aligned and attuned to source, because it's what you want. And the more you wear yourself as God, well, then you just can activate all those abilities within you. And so, look, this doesn't mean you have to sit down and write a dedication column to this or anything like this. It's just more about, okay, here, as it's like saying to God, okay, hey God, I accept the power that is flowing through me. I accept what you represent to me, and I also accept that I'm here to serve. And therefore, God, in my choice of service, I'm going to direct my human nature to everything that is natural to me. And so what you're doing is you're just establishing an intention. And then as things suddenly present themselves to you, remember, it doesn't mean, oh, I'll give this up and then I'll go and do that instead. It's more, all right, well, here's my core energy. Oh yeah, I could add that to that and that to that. So you're putting together a formula. And it's like having different departments. So you got your major department, and you go to these other little departments like this. And so as you work with people, you suddenly realize, you might have someone who comes to you and wants a session, and then you have a little talk with them first about their issues and things, and then you say to them, okay, I'd like to do this. However, before we do this, I'd like to give you some counseling for a couple of sessions first, because I feel that there are things that you need to relax with before you do this. And so that's why it's quite good to have a bit of a qualification in that field as well.
Counseling.
Yeah, so just, it doesn't have to be a big degree. It could just be a small certificate in general counseling. You're able to just be more confident in how you're directing people. And particularly because, people's issues can come up, and you want to feel confident enough to be able to deal with this vibration and this energy. And then suddenly someone starts going on about it, and you freak out. And it's like, so it's a developing process. And look, no one person ever comes onto this planet to do just one thing. Unless you're Mother Teresa or somebody like that, And so, but even then, before she was Mother Teresa, she went into a convent quite late in her life. So and she came from a very wealthy family, so she, knew all about nice dresses and parties and stuff like that before she became a nun. And even Gandhi, look at Mahatma Gandhi, who trained as a lawyer. And so you see, people say, well, that must have been their purpose. Whereas I would say, well, no, this is their lives. And this is what they've done with it. And okay, yes, some people become Mahatma Gandhi and Mother Teresa. But then I look at you and think, well, here's you, Zauki, and here's her life. And she has lots of voices. But it's not so much about, is this what I'm meant to do? I would rather you say, this is what I'm doing. And therefore, my ultimate energy is as God. And this is what I'm doing with it. So Mother Teresa, she was God too, but that's what she did with it. The Princess of Wales, she was God too. That's what she did with it. Martin Luther King, this is what he did with it. Mao Zedong, that's what he did with it. So, and everyone is the same. Look at Vladimir Putin. He's God too, but that's what he's doing with it. And I know it would be hard for people to look at him and go, well, he's God too. But he is. His soul is God. His human nature is doing something that is not in agreement with his soul. So he's called out in his human nature, not his higher nature. If he was running from his higher nature, well, Russia would be the most extraordinary, amazing country. And so, but it's like he's become his own worst enemy. And this is what half people do. They get so locked into their human nature. And then all these emotions come up. And so for yourself, it's going to be all in the organizing and what feels productive for you, uncomfortable for you, and that's why I said to before, well, go and achieve everything in the best way, in the greatest way. And it's not that you've got anything to prove, but then, one day someone's going to say to you, who maybe hasn't said, was agreed, and said, oh, wow, you seem to be really successful. Well done. And so look, you're not here to prove yourself or get people to understand what you're doing. You're here to be God, creating life and giving life to people. And you do this in lots of ways, because intrinsically you're a healer, you're a teacher, you're a mentor, and you're a coach, and you're a communicator, and you're sensitive, and you're perceptive, and you can do lots of things with those. So it's not just about relegating it to just hypnosis. It's like, I'll pick up that skill, but I've got lots of ability, and I'm going to make sure that I go and investigate all those abilities. But that's where, don't get overqualified. It's not. I mean, I have clients who, young people who are in their 30s, and they've got something like 7 degrees, and they've got jobs and stuff, but it's like they get so caught up into always wanting to study and learn more and all that. And I said that's absolutely fine to do, but it gets to the point where it's like, hey, what am I doing with who I am? And how can I organize this vibration? So, see, I get back to that picture I was shown before about suddenly all the doors and windows opened. And so that was just a metaphor for, hey, everything's available to you. It's just all there. And you're in the middle of the room, and it's like, I'm practicing hypnosis, but then all these other options are there too. And so just keep the connections flowing. So don't look at it like, is this what I meant to do? It's more what I said before, this is what I'm doing. And I can expand on this, develop it, all that. Or I could pick up other skills and do other things in conjunction with this as well, which I think you'll end up doing. So the hypnosis thing will just be one card in the many cards in your pack. Here's the hypnosis part of me, here's the healer in me, the counselor in me, the motivator in me, and so on and so forth. I mean, don't forget, you're God. Live your life in every way possible. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
It's a long answer for a short question.
Yeah, it's a great answer. I love it.
That's good. More question, then I gotta go.
Yes, so I wanted to ask about the vision I had traveling in a van, or just traveling over the world. So I wanted to understand more about next steps. I know I'm creating my next steps, but I do wanted to hear what you say.
What was your vision? Explain your vision, and then I'll look at it.
So during yoga, I had a few visions. I live in a van. Just feel I'm in a van settings. I feel working there and traveling. Other visions was just feeling like I'm not in a van, but it's like maybe just traveling by myself to, let's say, Mexico, maybe Europe, other places.
Yep. What you were doing is that you were in your altered state of consciousness. Your higher nature was showing to you, things that you could do with the skills that you're developing, but also it was showing to you that you're developing, and therefore it's also about positioning yourself in places that stimulate you, motivate you, encourage you, that type of thing. And it's interesting about that because I keep getting 2 places that keep coming up. One is a place called San Jose.
San Jose?
Yeah.
In the US?
In the US, yeah.
Okay.
And the other place is also in the US, which is Sedona in Arizona.
Yes.
Yeah. So those are 2 places which they're just high vibrational places. And so but then saying that, I'm suddenly, lights are suddenly being turned on, and I can see Hawaii come up as well, and then I get Australia, interestingly enough. So these are just places where your soul could gather from or gain from in some particular way. It doesn't mean you have to rush all over the place suddenly, but
Yeah.
talked about international travel and stuff like that. And I could see that as you develop, well, it makes sense that you're going to keep on reaching for new lifelines. But also as you develop more skills and aptitudes and abilities, where your work could take you. And so it was a bit like being shown a possible future.
Okay.
So the van was a sort of a symbol for lots of things. It wasn't just a literal sense. The van was also your high nature saying to you, you're on the move. You know, body and spirit, you're on the move. Things are changing. We're driving differently. And so it would have been interesting if you'd seen a Maserati instead of a van. So at the moment it's a van, but that's cool. But yeah, so it represents, hey, you're on the move. And so, but thinking about the van is interesting too, because with the van, you can actually pack things up and put things. So again, that's saying you're moving with power, you're moving with the source and the energy. And so yeah, it also usually means that you have a team with you. So it's like you're traveling with your team, your guides, your counsel, you know, the souls that work with you, because no one stands alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I laugh because one of them just said, I'm glad she's got a van. I got a bit tired of walking all the time. That's making a joke, so that is fun. So it's good. Anyway, so that's what that was all about. So it'll be interesting to see more of those visions will occur. And what you should probably do is maybe have a little book where you write down when you get them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can look at them, and then you can ask your higher nature, okay, what does this mean? And then just practice getting the answer.
Okay.
You know, sit down, put the question out to your higher self, and then answer out loud what you get. Because it's a very simple way of training yourself to make a connection with your higher nature. You know, I mean, I'll just teach you this right now. So right now, you are your higher self, okay?
Okay.
And I'm going to be you, and I'll just throw a question at you and just say the first thing that comes out. Okay. Oh, higher self, what's the best way to complete my day?
The best way to complete your day is to living as the God being you are, knowing that you are God, being present, and make conscious choices that works the best for you, serves you the best. Nourish your body, exercise, mind, body, spirit, get connected with me.
Well, there you go. That was a good answer. See, that works.
Thank you.
See,
that's awesome.
That's how it works, yeah. All right, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Blessings. I'll be around helping you. Okay. I get your father's father right behind you.
My father's father?
His father, your paternal grandfather.
Okay.
Yeah, you make.
I've not met him personally.
Yeah. So his soul is around you a lot.
Oh, okay.
Now looking at him, I think of him as a very wise person. I could just feel this wisdom coming from his energy. I just got him moving up a bit closer, and he's just placing his hand on your shoulder.
I can feel it.
Yeah. So he's just coming close into your vibrations now, and he's just got both hands on the back of your shoulders now. And so just acknowledge his presence and his energy. And maybe, maybe if you wish to have a little meditation for a couple of minutes, just to align to his energy after we finish. But he's just suddenly appeared, and so it's a very beautiful energy. So, all right, I'll bring Blair back. You could say goodbye. Bye for now.
Okay. Bye for now, Tabaash. Thank you so much.
Ooh.
Hi, Blair.
Hey.
Oh my goodness, that was a powerful session.
I can feel the energy go through the body. I'm like, I feel a bit overwhelmed actually. It's good. So,
How do you feel? Feel
Okay,
good?
yeah, you're really good. Really aligned and alive is probably a good way to put it. I can feel the presence like heaps more actually. So it's been a big gathering as such. So, well, that's good.
Yeah.
So what are you up to now for your evening? You got a quiet evening or?
Yeah, probably quiet. I'm just gonna maybe do some yoga, align myself more, get some message, and then going to bed. What about you?
Well, it's 2:30, so I will go to the gym and
Wow.
do a workout, and then I will probably drive to the supermarket and do a shop. You know,
Yeah.
practical things like that. No, I mean, it's just me. So I tend to buy when I need it, you know, so just, you know, rather than fill up the cupboards and the fridge full of stuff, you know.
That's great. Yeah.
My friends, you know, your mates, your male friends, you know, they come into your house and automatically go to the fridge and they have a look in there and they always say to me, "You have nothing in your fridge." And I mean, I have a few things, but there's maybe about 4 or 5 things in my fridge, and
Wow.
they go, and I said, well, I just get it when I need it, and I'm not just gonna store things up, you know. So it's good to live simple. So
That's wise. I love that. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, my fridge is enormous. I got this big fridge. Open it up, and it's like.
Oh, that's fun.
Okay, you have a good evening. Blessings, love.
Thank you so much again. Okay, take
Okay,
care.
okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.